everybody. Welcome back to the Latched Mama podcast. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the Latched Mama podcast is a podcast for the mothers and parents in the trenches of motherhood, parenthood. I don't know. I try to open it up in case guys want to listen to us.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I think guys could get a lot from our podcasts.
Who knows? So we are coming to you guys today with week 3 of our affirmation series. The way this works is if you guys subscribe to the podcast, go ahead and share it, tag us. It would be awesome for extra credit if you guys wanted to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you guys listen to it. That would be amazing as well. Go ahead and email all of those steps to podcast@latchedmama.com. And we will send you guys out a blanket that matches all these affirmations that we have been talking about. You're listening to Latched Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Wirt, busy mom of 6 and owner of LatchedMama.com. Join us each week as we talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, postpartum, and all things motherhood. So if you guys are new to the podcast or new to the series, go back and listen to week 1 and week 2 as well. There's some good stuff there. Yeah. I've listened to them both. It's just so funny to go back and listen
listening
to them.
To myself.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind it because I actually sometimes really enjoy our podcast, which makes me happy because hopefully that means other people are enjoying it too.
Hopefully,
but it's not like a self-serving. Like, oh, that was really good. Like,
yeah,
that was a really good point.
I'd like to say we surprise ourselves.
Yeah,
some of the things we say, and then I'm gonna be like, I said that for me. I need to remember that.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think when we show up for other people, sometimes we're the best versions of ourselves that we don't normally maybe give to ourselves.
I agree.
All right. So what are we talking about today? What is our first one?
We got, we just go one at a time.
No, or you can give all 3 so people can fast forward if they don't want to listen to one or 2.
All 3. I am so much more than just a mom.
Okay.
I trust my maternal intuition. I am allowed to take time for my own happiness.
Wow. These are deep ones.
Yeah, they are. So we can start with I am so much more than just a mom, which, yeah.
I was talking about this today or yesterday on my book call. So I think there are a couple of high points here. If you guys don't know, biologically, something happens in your brain when you're pregnant and in those first few weeks and months of motherhood where you kind of matter a little bit less to yourself. Your body does amazing things and your brain chemistry changes a bit, and suddenly that little baby is normally the most important thing. Kind of like, I wouldn't say like immediate connection is set up to happen, but I think there are some ways that you kind of stop valuing yourself as much and really focus on the baby, and that's done on purpose.
Yeah, we put ourselves much lower on that priority list. Yeah. Which
is, I think, natural. And then I think we kind of come out of it at some point. But I think losing who you are and having to relearn who you are, I think happens after every pregnancy and every birth. And it's something that we don't tell moms enough. But I think that it's okay to feel like just a mom at the beginning, because I think that that's the way our brains are set up to feel. Yeah. But then I think at some point, creativity starts to come back, energy starts to come back, desire for most people to find worth within their children, but other places as well, I think sometimes happens. Yeah. And what you do with that and how you find the time to serve yourself and those needs as well as your children, I think can be really hard for people. You know? I was trying to think, you think of like the daily things you would do like before, even when you're just pregnant and you didn't have this like big bundle of love and responsibility that you had to take care of, and just the things that you could do, and you could get up and go here, and you could make whatever food this time, and I'm going to run this errand, or let's go out to dinner, and all these like normal things that just, you look back and I kind of like took for granted, like that time and that freedom, and then you have this little thing that's just so precious to you, but all those other things go out the window. Yeah. And you feel like you're just a mom. And I think that's a hard thing to say, because I think some people thrive at all they've ever wanted to be as a mom. And really being a mom and a partner or whatever is like
absolutely sufficient for them, and that's totally fine. So I don't want to like use that, you know, little saying like the wrong way, but I struggled like big time. It's big time.
It's so interesting because like I wanted to be a mom. I was 30 when I had my first baby. I was ready. I was 100% ready. And then it didn't happen the way that I had it in my brain, and motherhood did not feel the way that I thought it was going to feel. And my husband always kind of said to me, like, he still talks about that first year. I think he remembers it more maybe than I remember it, because it was just really, really hard for me. But he always said, you know, you are so much happier with something I don't want to say besides the kids. I don't want to like make this one or the other, but like in tandem, like there was something that I was not getting necessarily at home with those kids every day. And like, I needed something more.
But can we talk about like the all consuming, like mental, emotional, and physical drainage? Like he'd be like, go do something. I'm like, I don't even know if I have the ability to like enjoy actually like a meal right now. Like I literally just want to crash and stare at the wall or sleep or so it's like I wanted that, but I was so drained that I didn't even have the energy to do said things.
And I think it's just it's so hard too, because you have to learn about the fact that like, especially when you have your first kid, like your life is never the same. Like going to Target or being away from your child is never the same. You are never only alone worrying about yourself ever again. And I think that's just such a giant shift, is that like, you're not just a mom, but you're always a mom. So you are a mom with a job, or you are a mom that enjoys painting, or you're a mom who's also a runner. Like you're always a mom. And I think that that's something that gets so lost in our culture, because I don't see that as a weakness. Like I see, especially the moms who work here, as like I think motherhood brings so much like education and experience and responsibility. Like I love having moms work here, because I think it is such an amazing skill set. I don't think that there's any other place in the world that you learn how to multitask like a mom knows how to multitask.
Agreed.
But I think adding something to your plate, if it feels like something you need to do, I think is something that is important, and you have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. And I remember when I first met you, remember? And I was like, let's talk when I'm 1. I'm like, because by then, the 5th, 6th kids, I was like, you know, the pattern I've seen is kind of 9, 10, 11 months. I start to have a little bit of like, the fog a little bit goes away, and like you're sitting and you're okay with a little toy, and maybe you're sleeping a little bit better, maybe not, but like you're kind of like, I can do this, I can make it to 1 years old, and I get a little bit like of that energy that I was talking about, like completely lacking in the beginning. Okay, I have a little bit of energy to explore over here and be a little bit creative, because that's always been a part of me. But by 5th and 6th kids, maybe I'd kind of accepted just being in that trench and being exhausted, and it's okay if I don't. I'd like to go move my body, but you know what? I'm okay with starting it a little bit later, or I'm okay with only doing something creative a little bit later, because this is kind of all I have to give right now.
I think we really need to make sure that we're normalizing the seasons of motherhood. So like we're saying it's okay. What is it? It's okay to be more than just a mom, or I am more than just a mom.
Yeah.
There could be a season, especially in the immediate postpartum, where you are going to be just a mom. You are literally not going to have any energy. You might not even have any energy to be a partner. Like you might let some stuff slide there. You know what? You're probably going to be a really shitty friend. You're probably not going to be able to show up for the people in your life the same way you did before.
But that speaks to seasons and relationships, and where one steps up and, you know, one needs more at certain times. So seasons there as well.
But I think that that's sometimes where some of the shame comes from, and like the self-doubt, and am I doing this right? And why can't I still be that same partner or that same friend that I was? So being just a mom for a season is 100% okay. Yeah. And I think we just need to make sure that if there are some of you guys that are out there that are like, oh my gosh, I'm failing in every aspect of my life. But you know what? My baby's okay. That's okay. You don't have to know what you want to do. I mean, I recently wrote Lindi and I's friendship story, or the beginning of it, for the book, and I was kind of taken back by the very clear, very mature boundary that she set when I looked at her. For those of you who don't know, she came to this charity sale that I was putting on here, and I hadn't seen her since high school. And I knew that she designed wedding dresses because I bought like 7 before I got married, because I just kept looking for wedding dresses. I'm sure if I had been like in therapy at that point, that would have been explored as maybe I wasn't ready to get married or something. I don't know. I just kept buying wedding dresses because I wasn't sure what I wanted to wear. I don't know, but I knew that she designed wedding dresses. I don't know. Maybe we overlapped on Facebook or something, but she showed up at this sale, and it was a really, really hard experience for me, the whole sale in general. And you guys will hopefully be able to read about it in the book, but she looked at me and she had literally a baby carrier under each arm. And the girls were like, what?
Like 2 months.
Like 2 months old.
I'd forgotten my frame. So I had to.
Like, yeah. And so she was at this consignment sale, and I looked at her and I said, I need help. Or we got to the point where I said I needed help. I think I said, I don't know how to design clothing. And in Lindy's smart ass, love her to death back, she said, I have one of your shirts and I love it. And I think it was like a really sweet.
I don't think you said that. I think you're like, I'm looking to like get some help with.
Yeah, but the first part of the I got there, but I didn't start there. I didn't start in that like vulnerable, hey, I need some help designing clothing. Yeah. I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. You design clothing. And you were like, well, I have one of your shirts and it's fine. And I was like, you are going to make this harder for me than I need it to be right now, because I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know how to ask for help, but I'm in this this super vulnerable place. So I had to like literally, then I got to the point where you just said, hey, I had to get to the point where I was like, I need some help. I don't really know what's going on. But it was very interesting because she was very kind. But if you had asked me at that point if she would have ever come work for me, I would have said no, because she just looked at me and she was like, I need a year. And I remember like just kind of looking at her and being like, of course you need a year. You have twins, whatever. But the whole point of the story is like, I was at the point where Caroline was like 4 to 5 months old and I wasn't pregnant. And I was like kind of in that sweet spot where I was like kind of getting the energy back and I was getting the creativity back. And I think that that's something to so remember is like, we meet moms on this journey and like, you ebb and you flow. So like, I know as I continued to have more kids, I would suddenly be in the first trimester and I would be tired and I wouldn't be able to show up the same way, or my kind of what I envisioned as like a complete life at the time would change a little bit, because suddenly I wasn't making dinner and I wasn't hanging out with my friends and I didn't want to go out. And, you know, in that moment where I was like, I need help, come join the Latched Mama family. And Lindi was like, yeah, no, I'm going to need a year. Like, I honestly didn't think I was ever going to see her again. But here, look at us.
Yeah, no, I never forgot it.
It was good.
I was like, I just knew, and maybe it was because they were like 5 and 6, which like, I'm sure when you had the other ones, you knew what you could tackle and what you needed help with and what you could do. And I mean, I was drowning pretty much.
And then here's this girl saying, hey, I've started this clothing line and people really want clothes, but I have no idea how to design them. Yeah. Can you come?
But the thing of it is like, I would have jumped at it, but knowing, you know, all those little people that have to come before you is so hard to say, you know, I need to wait a bit, or I know this is when I kind of have the energy to come back. Because I mean, if I had started it, I don't know.
Yeah, it was great though. It was wonderful.
But
oh, hi friend.
But yeah, the seasons.
Yeah, the seasons.
It's just
all right. What's our next
so
one?
True. All right. I trust my maternal intuition.
I think we need to. I'm a big intuition person in general in life. I have learned through probably having no time to really do extensive research on anything that I do in life, that I'll do some research, I'll do some learning, I'll read some books, but in the end, 9 times out of 10, my intuition is what guides me. Maybe is that spiritual? I don't really know. I've done some deep dives there too to figure out what that intuition is and where it comes from. I think some of it just comes from experience and stuff like that.
So I was wondering, like, is that part of it?
Some of it comes from just, if in doubt, I just decide to be a good, kind person. Like if something like doesn't make like financial sense with the company, or but I'm still pulled to do it.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, I'm just going to do it because I would rather do the right thing than do like the money thing, you know? But in terms of like the kids and the maternal intuition, I don't know. I just had a really like, so Matthew was up. Matthew's like, I don't know what, 15 months old. He was up like a couple of nights ago, and like he's a really, really good sleeper. I normally don't hear from him. If I do, I hear from him like once.
He's
a
in
night.
the big kid room now, right?
No, I mean he's in our closet, which is like attached to our master bedroom or master bathroom.
Okay.
But then like I'm in the master bedroom, so he's in a crib and he's in there. But he woke up a couple of times, and he kind of had some weird poop as well. And I was like, I bet this kid maybe has an ear infection because we all kind of had a family cold. So I was stupid. And if you're a pediatrician listening to this, please don't get mad at me right now. But I gave him like just a little bit of antibiotics that was in my refrigerator. And but then I was like, do I really want to mess up his gut? And like, I don't really know if it is. And he's really not that sad. And he's not really that upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started sleeping, probably because I gave him one dose of antibiotics. But anyways, I came home from work yesterday and his eardrum ruptured. And I had this moment where I was like, how did I not know this kid had such a terrible ear infection? Like, where was my intuition? Like, it was kind of there a couple of days ago when he wasn't sleeping, but like, how did it fail me here? Like, how does this kid just have disgustingness pouring out of his ear for the first time in my parenthood journey? So first time in a decade I've seen this happen. Like, how did I miss it? Where was my intuition?
Yeah, but you're such a good mom. And I think some things with those, like the ear infections drive me bonkers.
Yeah.
I swear I had one kid with a rash who had an ear infection. Yeah. One kid had a fever with an ear infection. Yeah. One kid had a sore throat. Oh, ear infection. Mm-hmm. Like those ones, I am almost at a complete loss unless they're really little and the sleeping gets me. But those are so difficult to know.
I know. And
once we get to how many kids do we have, like we're not rushing to the doctor. Yeah. Really. It's so.
Yeah. And it's fine. But I think that I realized
he probably felt good after that.
Oh, he's great. He's talking, he's laughing, he's running around, which he was kind of doing before. I guess if I had spent more time, I don't know. Like I wouldn't have brought him anywhere regardless because he didn't have a fever and he wasn't acting terribly. And I don't know. Anyways, but I guess what I'm saying is that like I truly rely on that intuition so much, and I think it can get skewed sometimes. I think when the kids are sick and I get scared, it gets a little wonk there. But I think for the most part, it is literally what guides me every single day.
I get a little all consumed sometimes, like a bit consumed by the situation, like sick stuff sometimes. I was thinking almost also speak to like the experience part of that, and maybe that's where I mainly go is like I can, if we're planning something or hey, let's go do this, like I just know I know how it's going to go down. I know if it's something we should do or we should not, whether it's for the kids or whether it's for my husband and I, like you just kind of know. And I mean half the time it's like mom's not always right, but most of the time she's right. And that's what my kids say all the time. And I will literally, something will happen, I'll walk away, I'm like, I told you. Like,
And I think sometimes I try, though, to challenge myself. And I normally always regret it. Like you said, like, things.
Do you have an example?
Well, like, so we don't normally do anything on the weekends. We are like homebodies. Like we stay at the farm. It's chill time. It's our time literally with our kids because we don't see as much of them during the week as we would like to. We don't really plan anything. We'll have friends over if day of everybody is well and everybody's happy. I try and have people over for a fire pit or something like that. And it's fine. Like our kids need to go on adventures, but they go on adventures during the week because they're homeschooled and it's just whatever. So, but my mom wants to go fossil hunting at a state park on Saturday morning, and I'm giving her full agency to go do this, to go. She's called them. It was really funny because they were like, we only take 25 people. So you're fine. And mom was like, well, I have like 8. And it was just really funny. So it was like their own private little fossil thing. But so she wants to do that. But then we have Caroline's birthday party in the evening, and she has a Zoom call for some missions trip she's going on. I know it is a 2-pack of a day. And I know that. and I should pull back somewhere from like my mother intuition. Somebody is going to melt down. The party is not going to go well. Somebody is going to be too tired, too overstimulated. There will be tears. There will be fighting. Hopefully it happens after everybody's gone and bedtime is just hard. Like that is like hopefully worst case scenario, but I think it's too much for a day. And I know that. And my intuition is telling me that it's not going to be kind of the birthday that Caroline really deserves because they're running off down to the river at the beginning of the day. I don't know. We'll see.
That one's really difficult because it's not like you're going to cancel the party. And it's really hard when like a parent, one of our parents, their grandparents, is like, hey, I really want to do this and take them. I have a hard time saying no, don't take my kids. Because, But
it was the first thing I said to Lindi when I came in this morning, and I was like, hey,
I don't know.
I don't think this is good. And she's like, well, at least they'll be out of the house so you can like decorate and clean. I was like, but I'll have the baby.
I know.
Like, it's all a lot. But it's funny though, because I think you learn like, and then you have to, and like that's the hard part too, is like the intuition of, hey, I know this isn't going to go well, but it's not your partner that you have to talk. You don't have to let your partner lean in there, but you have to let your kid lean in there because that's where they learn and that's their lessons. Like, hey, that kid's really never been nice to you before. Do you really want to go outside and play basketball with him? And then your child comes in with hurt feelings, 20 minutes later, but that was something that you had the intuition that it wasn't good, but do you have to let them lean into it and learn that stuff themselves?
And also maybe if you really are set, you're like, got it, this is not going to work out, or I want to make this decision, like that's your intuition. That like social pressure of being a mom, like, oh, I should go run off and do this and then follow up with this and and then everybody goes out to eat after, or I'm just like making up a scenario, but it's like, I know that is not going to be good for like our family or a decision, and to be okay and be confident in that. Or sometimes you just push the line and you try it, but
it doesn't normally afterwards you can find good things that happen, especially when you go like against the intuition. It's always nice to be right though, but you just have to get through it. I don't know.
But the maternal intuition with the kids as far as sickness and feeling off, like you just can't, I feel like you can't go wrong kind of following your gut whenever you have that feeling. Like, take them in. If it's nothing, it's nothing. But like most of the time when I've taken them in, it has been something. I may not have gotten it right, like whether it's flu or strep or ear or some skin thing.
Sickness though is when mine goes wonky. Like sickness is when I need help. Like when I need like somebody sometimes to bring me like back to center. That's which is nice because I have a really great pediatrician who comes to our house and he's fantastic, and he can put me back to where I need to go sometimes. I don't know, just because we love them so much. And
then just through COVID, that really threw me off, just sickness and medical wise too. That was just really difficult to make decisions through that time, and I feel like we're still kind of in a little bit of,
but that intuition of like what is best for your kid. But then sometimes learning, like I just said this a few minutes ago, but it's one of the hardest takeaways for me, especially as the kids get older, is like your mother, like your intuition says this is not going to end well from a feeling standpoint or from an anything standpoint, and they're going to learn this great big lesson from it, but sometimes you just have to let them go do it, and that sucks. Because your heart's outside of your body and it's in their little like, I don't know. That's hence why the work kids are homeschooled. We want to protect them forever from the mean people in the world.
No,
but I don't know. All right, what's next?
All right, last one is I am allowed to take time for my own happiness.
I keep groaning after all of these, and I'm really, really sorry, guys, but it's like all stuff that we have to learn.
I'll say something though. I struggle with the word happiness. I think it comes and goes, and so I don't know if we can replace that with something a little bit better, but we can still keep that sentence.
Maybe like your
my own
growth.
well-being, my own growth, like just
I
don't know.
How many years into motherhood before you learned that?
But I feel like I'm still learning that. No, 6 kids into
Absolutely.
It, maybe. 6 kids.
I remember the first time my in-laws came and took my kids, like for the entire day. And it hasn't really happened since then. I think there was maybe 2 then. And I think we probably maxed out at 3 in terms of like somebody actually like an in-law like coming and taking them. But it was a Saturday or Sunday and I had the whole day to myself. And it's just that one, like you see it all over like reels and TikTok and stuff. It's like the kids go to bed and what do? Do you clean the house? Do you prep for the next day? Do you, do laundry, or do you sit and eat chocolate and watch TV and, work on yourself or what's going to bring you happiness? And it's such a hard decision. I don't know.
Looking back, is there something you would have changed or one thing you would have added, or, having one kid? Just something that really would have helped you week to week?
In terms of my own
doing
happiness?
Something for you?
I mean, I absolutely wish I had started therapy 10 years ago. I wasn't ready. I couldn't have done it. It would have been a different relationship with whoever I found therapy-wise. Like, it's happening exactly when it's supposed to be. But I wish I could have been the parent that I now can be to all of my children, to, Nathan when he was younger, or the next one. I mean, I yelled a lot. I was really reactive. I wasn't a great partner. I would walk away from conversations. I wouldn't be able to sit with feelings. I just was ragey kind of all the time. Like, not like ragey at the kids, but just kind of always in this like constant state of not feeling good enough and not feeling like, I don't know, I was getting things right and stuff. And I think just now, by the way, I started therapy 2 years ago today. I know.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that hilarious? So just to normalize it a bit. I mean, it's been life-changing for me and for Eric and for our kids. And I can't tell you like the little, like, it's funny because there's the big things like that I can tell you, hey, I can stay in an art. Like, Eric will look at me and it's happened probably 4 times in the past 2 years, but our relationship is completely different. And I don't think I've talked about my relationship with my husband in therapy more than 2 or 3 times, but it's just different because I'm slowly coming down from that just like constant hypervigilant state, I think, and just kind of trusting myself a little bit more, which starts to affect every relationship in my life. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could have parented from this place 10 years ago. I knew I wasn't ready to do this work 10 years ago. So it all balances out, and I have a lot of self-compassion about that. But at the same time, if you do feel yourself ready and you guys do have the means, I think that is one place that is a really good investment in yourself.
It can help with everything of these that we are talking about.
Yeah, it's like
just everything. It's just such a good foundation.
Yeah, and then there's like the other like random therapy wins. Like, I had a list of like 20 different shows on Netflix, and I could never watch the last episode of them because I never wanted to say like goodbye to the story or the characters. I know I'm going to show you guys all of my crazy right now. But I could do all of that.
It's not crazy. It's
weird. It's so funny, like what you carry with you in life. So I never could say like, I never wanted to know like how the stories ended or how the stuff, I don't know. So I could go back and watch all of those. Sex is better. Touch in general is better. I don't know. I'm not addicted to sugar anymore, which is a really cool thing. I think we talked about that a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Awesome.
It's great. It's a great way to hit a lot of things at one time if you can make the investment in your own happiness. But I mean, wine and chocolate and going for a walk are good too, if therapy's not your thing.
Well, that's what I was going to hit on. If I could have implemented one little thing, it would have been going for a walk.
Yeah.
Every day, at least just getting outside. But the thing with me is when I look back there, literally stepping foot outside of the home with a baby, with the things was absolutely like debilitating. Like it was so difficult. With 1 child, 2 children, it was so hard. Now, I went outside. We went places. Like, I ended up going to the gym. But in that beginning, if there was something I could have done for me, it would have been an intentional walk. Whether it's 5 minutes, whether it was 30 minutes. Because I don't think I really started. I would put Nellie, and then I would put the twins in my wrap. And I would do like a mile walk.
Yeah.
But just being outside. But this kind of ties in with therapy and kind of meditation, is being in the moment. Like, what am I hearing? What am I smelling? Like, back then I couldn't view it at that. I was just so completely overwhelmed. But if I could, I think a walk is a fantastic way to get outside.
That link between feelings and your body is one of the wildest things that I've discovered in my 40s. Like, wildest things. I mean, I didn't understand. I never knew that feelings were called feelings because you feel them in your body. I never knew that. Did you know that?
No.
I had no idea. But
the question you always get in therapy is, when you feel that, where are you feeling it in your body? And the first time I heard that, I'm like, it's in my brain. Like, no,
so
but
funny.
It's so true.
No.
It's crazy.
We can't get that.
We can't go down that road.
We can't get that hokey in therapy with me because I am still very much black and white. Remember, I don't cry either. But I think that really one of the cool parts about it, and whether it comes from a book or whether it comes from therapy or whatever, is just trying to learn yourself. Brene Brown had this amazing quote that I found this week that, and I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not going to actually try to say the quote, but the takeaway is that your connection to others is completely reliant on your connection to yourself. So if you're not connected with yourself, you're not going to be able to connect with others. And your relationships are not going to be as healthy or great as they could be if you truly knew yourself. The whole you can't love somebody else without loving yourself, I think, is kind of crap. Because I think there are going to be stages where you don't feel great about yourself and you don't love yourself. But I think when you flip that around a little bit and you use connection and knowing yourself, and maybe that is a little bit easier in terms of to kind of swallow, especially in the motherhood years, because there might be times where you don't love yourself, but that does not make you unworthy of love from others. But I think truly trying to dig in and figure out, your connection to yourself and where some of that stuff is really helps with that additional connection, which we all need kind of for happiness.
Yeah. But I think just taking time for yourself, which you can always have plans and then they go sideways. Like I was supposed to have a haircut today and you try to set up time to do something for you and it gets canceled. And that was like really difficult when I was younger, when you were like in the trenches and you're looking forward to like, my mom's going to take him for 2 hours or something. And then the plans get canceled. Like there were years where I didn't even know what to do. Like I felt when that was taken away from me, it was really, really difficult. And
I just stopped.
Now it's better, but like,
And
but when you have all the little kids, to do something alone for you, like you almost have to have that help.
Yeah. And it's hard because like, I don't think that I'm in a healthy place with that. I just don't plan anything anymore. Like I just said about Saturday. I mean, that birthday party was planned this morning / yesterday. And it's always really confusing, I think, sometimes to like my parents or other people. But that is how I have to operate because I don't know if everybody's going to be okay, like what's happening. I don't know. Like I think that kind of suffering that comes in those moments of uncertainty or disappointment is not something that I feel like is another ball I can have in the air. So therefore I just don't really plan anything and I take every day as it comes, which I think probably leaves me a little bit in this hamster wheel. But I try to look forward to things the day that they're happening, which is weird. Yeah. Like I could plan date nights. Like I have one of our nannies date night any night I want on the table. And I don't think I go out of my way to ever plan one because I'm worried that if I plan it, that I'm going to get my hopes up. And then for some reason, somebody's going to be sick or something's going to happen and it's not going to happen. And then what do I do with that disappointment and that grief? And how do I parent through that? And how do I lead a company through that? And even if it's something as simple as a haircut, but like I just watched that happen in real time. Like we got on the podcast, we were getting ready to start and I was like, hey, what are our 3 affirmations? And Lindi didn't look up and I asked her again and I was like, what are our 3 affirmations? She's like, hold on. And I was like, oh shit, something's going down on her phone. And she was like, I've got to cancel my haircut for like the 4th time in a row.
Yeah.
Like and it was shitty because all of a sudden in 1 minute, the help cancels and Lindi can't go get her hair done, which I'm sure you were looking forward. It's not the hair. I know.
Yeah. I was looking forward to it. It's not, but it's okay. But years ago, I would have probably been in tears, like really upset. Because upset. I think it was so needed. Like when you have really like the little ones, that to me was really important. But life moves on. I'll probably hack it off myself tonight.
No, it moves on. But there's like, that disappointment. I think when we're holding everything. So. What is the takeaway?
I think finding those little things for you is very important. I think it is important to step outside and try and make those plans, but in knowing that these things can change, kind of like a birth plan or, you know, any plans. But I think it also looks different for everybody. I think some people need more than others. But there are those little things that you can do.
Yeah. I think the theme definitely of the 3 that we talked about today is if you can find the time to start learning yourself again, and you're going to be different, and don't be afraid of that, or be afraid of it, but work through those feelings. Because I don't think any 3 of those affirmations work unless you spend some time learning who you are, what's important to you, what's important to your family, what to prioritize, where you're willing to give, where you're willing to take, all of that stuff. And then slowly starting to figure out,
I agree,
you know, what's going to make you happy, because you matter.
And I think accepting, like, you're gonna be a different person, right? Kind of post-birth that first year, but accepting that every year you're gonna continually kind of grow and change. Yeah. So just keep, trying, learning about you. Yeah.
All right, guys. Subscribe, share, send us an email, and we will send you a blanket. Bye, guys.